Alrighty, welcome to my review for the Turtle Beach Velocity 1 Race Edition. Turtle Beach has been known for a lot of their other peripherals. I guess they got in the game mainly from their gaming headsets and then began to produce simulation gear. I actually own a pair of their, or a set of their rudder pedals for flight. Haven't had much of a chance to put those to the test, but they seem of quality and were a good first impression for me. So I took the plunge on the Velocity 1 race, and here's some footage from Assetto Corsa Competizione. I don't know how much the camera is going to pick up. You might see some bouncing. It might look like I'm in a motion rig. I'm not in a motion rig. I've got this thing strapped to my chest, so it's bouncing up and down as my arms move, as I breathe, as I talk. So that's what's going on there. So I just wanted to touch on a few main things. First of all, I'm going to be giving this thing away at the grand opening car show here at the Flying Lap in Springfield, Missouri. That's happening next weekend, May 11th, 2024. So if you are local to the area, be sure to mark your calendars for that. And we're going to be raffling this off along with a few other things. So I just wanted to touch on a few things while I still have the wheel. I guess the biggest question is the value. At $650, is it good value? Well, I would say it is. It's a complete package. You really can't get everything that this includes for that price anywhere, at least not legit, not from a legit company. And it works really well. It wasn't without hiccups to begin with. It was a bit of a pain to set up, but once it got going, it was pretty good. And it's been working really well ever since. Force feedback's really detailed. Plenty of power. I'd say way more power than a sane person should throw at this folding chassis that I'm in right now. I'm in the FGT Lite from Next Level Racing. But just to put things into perspective, I've come from using an assortment of different other wheelbases. On our main systems, we use the Magic Alpha Mini, and I would say that this matches it in many ways. I haven't actually, or it's been a while since I've played Competizione with one of the Magic Alpha Minis, but yeah, as far as just the overall road detail, it's phenomenal. You can definitely tell when the car has lost traction when it begins to slide, so you know when to let off. The pedals feel great. It's a load cell brake, so it's nice and accurate. I would adjust the sensitivity and the braking threshold within the game. I wouldn't max these pedals out just because they're, I guess, somewhat flimsy. But yeah, it's definitely serviceable, I would say. Definitely better than like a Logitech, a base set of Logitech G29 wheels, I mean. And it could just be the telemetry or the force feedback that is inherent to Competizione, but the only thing that I would say is lacking as far as detail in this game is the curbing details. they're not very prominent, especially if you just kind of touch them at speed or don't hit them head on. When you hit a large curb, you definitely feel it, but like these curbs right here, I don't know if maybe just it's being muted by the other details, but yeah, coming off the curb seems like it gives a little bit of a bounce, like a little knock to it, that you can tell that something's happening, but you know, it's not like a. I wonder if it just can't handle the frequency variations. I think it's riding on one frequency, so it does what it can, and there's definitely enough. Like I said, when you lose traction, you definitely know the important stuff is there, and plenty of power. Really nothing to be desired in that regard. Quality itself, you know, there are some cheap components to it, but the wheel itself is nice and tactile. It's got a good texture to it, and the thickness is perfect. Having that stitching, or even if it's fake stitching, it kind of gives it a bit of a extra premium feel. One part that I guess doesn't feel so good is right here along. There's like kind of an angle, an abrupt angle, sharp angle, I guess you'd call it, right here on top of your thumbs. That might be a little rough, a little jagged, if you will. Not the most comfortable thing, but if you just adjust your fingers, or it's just something you kind of get used to. I don't know if maybe I'm building calluses up to it. I'm not feeling it as much as I used to. So it's definitely, it's fine. Minor gripe. So I mentioned, you know, great value overall for the whole package. The quality's there. Definitely what I expected. One thing that a lot of people don't touch on is, you know, the benefits of going with a larger, well-established company as far as actually getting your hands on the thing. And if you were to ever have to send it back, you know, working through Best Buy, working through Amazon, you're not going to have any problems. I'm not going to name any names, but there are some players in the sim racing game that definitely could use some improvement in that regard. As far as, you know, tracking, shipping, and, you know, having a definitive time frame on when you actually get your product, as well as, you know, I haven't actually reached out to Turtle Beach customer service, but I'm pretty confident that even if they fail, that Amazon or Best Buy will kind of fill that, will pick up the slack there, fill that void. And you just don't get that with a lot of sim racing equipment. Sim racing is still relatively niche, and it's a good sign that Turtle Beach is getting in the game. You know, Logitech's probably been the only major player in the game so far. And now that Turtle Beach is here, it would be interesting to see what companies come next. Trying to think offhand what other game peripheral companies kind of are in a similar adjacent space. But yeah, I guess I'd call Thrustmaster on that same level. I haven't found their products to be particularly appealing overall. You know, they don't, and once you start putting their stuff together, it becomes pretty expensive for this type of this quality and type of product. So yeah, I mentioned there are some rough edges. the quality is not top tier. It's not on the low level of SimMagic. It's not on the level of SimuCube, which I've used all their products. But you know, detail is going to come down to probably mainly the game, and you know, it's a 7.2 Newton meter direct drive wheel, and it's on par with anything of that caliber. Some people say 12 Newton meters is the sweet spot. I think I'd call it closer to 8 to 10 Newton meters is probably, from my experience, it doesn't really leave anything to be desired. There's one other gripe, and some people have pointed it out, especially people that are watching me play with this. You don't really notice it when you're actually engaged in the game and if you've got the volume turned up. And you might hear it coming through the mic, but there's a bit of noisiness because it's a metal on plastic. The direct drive unit is metal, and the housing that it rests in is plastic. You're gonna have a bit of resonance. There's a little bit of a spin out for you. Oh yeah, you can definitely hear it there. That knocking sound, it's there. And if it bothers you, then and if you can reach out, you know, if your budget allows for one of the standalone direct drive units on the market, you know, if you want to do more of a piecemeal setup rather than a whole package, you know, you've got like Moza and stuff like that that might be more your style. And of course, you know, Moza has their ecosystem, and this does not, and that's kind of another thing that I want to touch on. Now, at least in a YouTube comment, and that's kind of another thing that sort of impressed me, was just how responsive their PR team is. You know, they're really good at answering questions, and a lot of people criticized this actually they still criticize it, and I think it relatively unfairly for what it is. But when it first came out, you had a whole bunch of people that were skeptical, they were doubting, you know, they were thinking that Turtle Beach was going to be using, you know, direct drive is like more of like a marketing term, like a buzzword, you know. People were speculating that, you know, it may have been direct drive, but you know, they were thinking it was going to be like a 3 Newton meter type thing, similar to maybe like a Mazda R3. And then if you were following, you noticed that Turtle Beach came out not long after to fill in the details there, and they put people's mind at ease that, yeah, this is definitely a substantial unit. A lot of the budget direct drives are closer to 3 or 5, and this is sort of punching into the mid-range, into the upper mid-range of sim racing gear, which was sort of surprising to me. You know, I think even 5 Newton meters would have been plenty, and they definitely exceeded expectations there. But as I was saying, I had a question in one of the YouTube comment sections about their ecosystem of wheels, coming out with new wheels. You know, some people don't like the D-shaped wheel. I would say for most driving, you'll be fine with a D-shaped wheel. The only thing that you probably won't be happy doing is drifting and rally. That's really good for Formula. Really good for this GT style racing. Most types of racing, it's at least serviceable. There's not really a one size fits all type of wheel. You know, the diameter is pretty small. I don't know the exact measurement, but it's on the small side. Not really. You know, it's to be expected at this price range, similar to a Logitech. And for this type of driving, the diameter is actually probably ideal. But Turtle Beach did assure me that they were going to be coming out with new wheels, and we'll see if they hold to that promise. It could be sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy where if enough people, you know, if this doesn't have a good reception, if sales are bad or whatever, if it doesn't develop a following, then there's a good chance that they might abandon it. Be interesting maybe if they came out with a more enthusiast version, maybe like a 12 Newton meter and a full metal chassis without all the plastic bits. And then if they both use the same quick release style, then I could see them possibly justifying an ecosystem of wheels and maybe pleasing those who are not a fan of the more toy-like form factor. So we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. You know, all the display and the lighting is super cool. There's definitely a lot going on here. A lot of things you can fiddle with and tinker with and customize, and I would say they know a market pretty well of people that will appreciate this, and the fact that it's really powerful and detailed and overall has a lot of enthusiast components to it. You know, that's just icing on the cake. If this gets people into sim racing, it might make it to where they don't have to upgrade immediately. I could see someone getting by with this for quite a long time, and who knows, we may even see some people begin to modify it if you know, if Turtle Beach doesn't come out with an ecosystem, if the Logitech community is a frame of reference. Those guys have been modding the heck out of the G29 for years, and to the point where it's not even recognizable. And people might do the same for these. So yeah, I would say it's pretty good. It's solid. If you want a complete package, if you don't want to think about it too much, minus the kind of clunky startup, and they may have fixed that since then. I know that there was a firmware update, which I just installed, and I didn't notice too much of a difference in functionality, but hopefully it makes the startup process a bit more smooth. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. You watched me do plenty of laps, and I hope to see you here at the Flying Lap in Springfield, Missouri. We got a lot of equipment here, a lot of things to check out. If you want to get your hands on some of the latest equipment, if you want to check out motion, here's definitely the place. And I guess this is the obligatory part where YouTubers do the whole like and subscribe thing. You know what to do. You know the drill. Hopefully I can start coming out with more content once this fiery storm of grand opening once the dust has settled on that. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Thanks, everyone.